I'm Team Jacob. So
this dude showing up with a freaking 10
There's
ton.
so much, and even if we had more, I don't think it.
Oh my god!
Vaughn getting just does a burn.
No, is that Vaughn?
No, I like this.
You also have gigantic hands.
In that car right now. We didn't fly all the ways here to watch you walk around in a sling.
Long Beach is on its way. It's going to be here sooner than you can even imagine. And what does that mean? Well, you're going to save $5 on tickets just by using code OZLB at checkout. That's right. OZLB saves you $5. See you in Long Beach. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Outerzone, the official podcast of Formula Drift. My name is Jacob Gettins, and today we've got what I've heard has been called the Irish Viking. I like that nickname. Mr. Jack Shanahan.
Hello. How are you?
Good, man. Good. I think it's a fitting nickname. I mean, like the beard and everything. Like I could see it.
Yeah, it's actually probably the first time I heard it, but it's probably something that J-Rod is probably going to work off of, I suppose. He has a nickname for everybody, so I guess I haven't been nicknamed like officially through commentary at any point. So I think J-Rod will probably be, using something like that.
Yeah, it's like a rite of passage. Like when you get your nickname, then you've made it, and you're situated, and you're now in the series, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool. Sorry, I think we had a little bit of a delay there, but it seems to be working itself out now. All right, but we're all good. Cool. So how is off-season prep going for you? Because you've got multiple projects on the go. I mean, some we can get into, some that are probably we'll have to keep back, but you're obviously very, very busy this time of year.
So like off season for me kind of looks like, I kind of run my own shop as well as the drift team in Europe. So off season for me is doing lots of customer work, basically trying to make enough money that I can survive for my drift season, essentially. And then other than that, it's like just trying to figure out sponsors, where I'm driving, all that kind of stuff. The European side of stuff when it comes to like, working deals and all that kind of thing, it's kind of like Connor's baby. But for FD, it's like the first time that I've had to try and negotiate deals and stuff, which has been proving quite difficult. But yeah, it's kind of just like, for some reason, it's kind of a bit strange right now, because usually what happens is that I'm building a car for the season, and then like I'm very hands-on with getting the race truck ready, the car, all that kind of stuff. And then Connor's like, here's our budget, we can go drifting. As for FD, I'm not building a car. The car has been built for me, and I'm trying to do all of the background kind of stuff, basically. So yeah, it's a bit of a different off season for me, which is kind of, I'm like it and unlike it at the same time, but it's just stressful.
So is that, I mean, I guess we can allude to it a little bit. Does that mean that like the programs that you and Connor are running within FD are going to be a little bit more separate than what you've done previously?
Yeah, so obviously the rumor has been that me and Connor will run our own team in FD, which is obviously like our dream scenario, to have like the brand, the Shanahans in FD, but people don't realize the cost it takes to like, get to that point. You know what I mean? Like in Europe, we have a fairly well set up team at the moment with the race truck, the cars, the mechanics, and the team. But to get that level of like, reliability and getting everything in motion, it's a lot of money. So it's just something that's not really feasible to do as of this year. Maybe it's a goal that we'll work towards, to have the Shanahans in FD at some point. But for now, we will be on separate sides of the paddock for the first time ever in our careers. So that'll be quite interesting. Dang. So yeah.
That's cool, though. I think that's going to add such a different flair to the season, right? Where I know you guys are pretty competitive when you're together. Now that there's like a bit more space in between you, I could see that being even crazier. Yeah,
like obviously when we're driving in Europe, we run, the same radio sets between both cars and the spotter. So when it comes to, doing a battle, if we ever get to battle each other, the radio gets plugged out by the spotter, and me and Connor talk to each other. So whenever we're battling, like once the helmet goes on, we are like fully locked in, and we're like, whoever wins, and it's kind of, we're not giving anybody favors. But like between the runs, we'll talk to each other. Like at the start line, we'll talk to each other. As we're this year, we probably have different spotters, all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be weird kind of getting information about what your brother's been doing all weekend, because, it's not the same spotter coming back to the one pit area where he's giving us like a upload of our debriefs after a practice session, basically. So yeah, it'll be interesting. It's going to be funny giving him the divils, driving past him in the paddock. It's going to be it's going to be a new feeling for sure.
Yeah, I can see you guys still, finding ways to communicate. Like that's a habit that I don't think will die. But I feel like when it comes to you guys going head to head, and if we go this whole season without you guys going head to head, it'll be a damn shame. But it's gonna happen. Those battles will be just epic, though.
Yeah, like our Drift Masters battles usually go one of two ways, where like one of us will just push too hard and then, cause some sort of a little crash or whatever. But it never turns out to anything. Like usually like one half of the battle is spectacular, and then the second half of the battle, either one of us know that like we have to push that bit, like, beyond your comfort zone, and then that's usually where it goes wrong. So it's if it happens in FD, it's going to be it'll be funny, especially when we're not reporting back to the same paddock. We'll have to get back to the pits and then have to go try find each other to have a laugh about what we've done.
Yeah. Yeah, I did go back and rewatch a lot of the battles that you guys have had, and you're spot on. It's like you both try and push so much harder than you're comfortable with that it ends up being some weird mistake, and it's just like, oh, you're trying to find that extra little bit because you know how good the other person is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like it's, I think it comes like that to any person you're battling, but usually you kind of go past your comfort zone for like one more time or something. But when it's against your brother, you're going to try go past the comfort zone straight away.
Do you think your mindset will be any different? Because I feel like you're still going to be hands-on with the car. I don't think they could keep you off of working on the car. But do you think it's a little bit different in your situation now, where it's not a car that you have, potentially built and spent all the time with? So wrenching will be just a different scenario.
Yeah, like I think pre-season I will be in America, hopefully to do some pre-season testing, and that'll be like my, my input on the end of the build and making sure that it's how I want the car to drive for me and all that kind of stuff, because I do tend to have not like some sort of a crazy style, but I have like a different style than others. Like, referring back to me and Connor again, like our GT86s in Europe are completely different in setup when it comes to how they steer. So just kind of try to find a balance. The car I will be driving is not a car I've driven before, so it's going to be quite interesting to try find the perfect balance for my style and how to get the car fast and everything.
Yeah. When you talk about completely different ways that they steer, is that an alignment thing? Are you using like a completely different rack or different setup, like a front steer versus rear steer kind of thing?
So yeah, the season just gone, we moved to having the same steering rack as were the season previous. I stayed with the rear steering rack set up in the GT86. But other than that, it's just alignment and like spring rates and all that kind of stuff. It's just a lot different between both cars.
Interesting. I wonder, I wonder if it's, he drove your cars or hand-me-downs previous and then was like, I can't stand this, and then went a completely different path.
It's kind of like, I think Connor likes having the balance of the car, that like it's never going to be too out of control, as where I much prefer being able to come in after doing a run and kind of like, no matter how bad the score is, like the transitions will still look kind of cool and your entry will still look kind of cool, because that means a lot to me. I like being able to watch back my runs and have it that my style is coming through in the runs, even if it's like a 70-point qualifying run, let's say. So it's Connor likes having his car kind of easy, that it's like not going to do anything too spectacular, but if it needs to, he can put that input in and then it will look cool.
Yeah, I would generally say you have a much more aggressive, a snappier car that is kind of pointier. Like I'm trying to think of the best way to explain it. Where in your transitions, the transitions are a lot faster and more aggressive, and the car catches very quick. Whereas his and people who watched, last season, very smooth, maybe a little bit more predictable, and it allowed him to transition the car in FD a little bit differently. So it was, it'll be cool to see.
Yeah, exactly. So that's going to be that'll be the biggest deciding factor, I think, with the car for FD. We'll be trying to find that balance and see how it goes, But yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be cool being able to, give my input and not actually have to do the input. So, I can my plan with FD is to kind of go there and be as relaxed as I possibly can be, because I feel like that my results in the last 2 or 3 years have been gone on the downhill slope because of how much pressure and stress I put myself under for the events I've been competing in. So the plan is that go to FD with clear mind and just try be as relaxed and as comfortable and enjoy the experience as much as possible.
Yeah, it's a incredible experience to be able to get to do this now, right? I know it's been something that's been on your mind for a very long time. I think anybody who drifts in general, FD at some point is a goal where it's how do I stack up? How would I compare to all these drivers and things?
Yeah.
So getting to be able to do it and have fun is such an amazing experience. Yeah,
obviously I've competed at a fairly high level of drifting, if not the highest level of drifting in Europe for a number of years now. But it's kind of one of those things that's always in your mind being it's still Formula Drift, it's basically in the name. So when you're talking to somebody or explaining what series you're competing in, when you say Formula Drift, it kind of rings more of a bell where they're it's the highest level basically. So it's good. That's the mindset is to go there as chilled out as possible and really take in everything and just enjoy it the best I can.
Yeah. Working back from now, I guess when did you make the decision where you're okay, this is going to be the year that it's going to happen? And then I guess when did it all start actually coming together where it looked possible?
Well, see, the thing is that as of right now, it still doesn't look possible in my eyes, because I'm still trying to figure out a lot of things. I did think it was going to be not easy, but just easier than what it has been to try find the budget that I need to do everything. But yeah, we've just been, trying to get, obviously, like I was saying, because it's my first year of trying to get, contacts and all that kind of stuff. My contacts are quite slim, so trying to do all that stuff is proving just a little bit more difficult than I was hoping for. But yeah, it's kind of so Connor went to a OZLB event roughly this time last year. It was March last year, and then he drove Rome's E36, and then Rome was you should do Long Beach, and Connor was it's not that easy just to do one round. Then Rome was well, then do the season. And then Connor again was it's not that easy. And then obviously they were only 4 or 5 weeks out from Long Beach. And Connor just decided to stay in America and just see if it could be something that he could pull together. And obviously pulled off quite a successful season for, it was a fairly random conversation that kind of sparked this to happen. And then that was kind of what gave me the spark to be after seeing him get to Arundel and have quite a successful year, even in a car that he wasn't actually 100% comfortable in. I was this is definitely something that I can try do. And it was just basically a grandstand experience that sparked a conversation to be you know what, I'm just going to go next year and don't care what it takes to get there. I'm just going to do it.
Dang, that's wild. I mean, I know in Long Beach, 1, seeing Connor rip, and then 2, having you up in the spotter stand was a fun awakening, I think, for everybody. And, that sparked a lot of rumors immediately, where it's oh, okay, when's Jack coming then?
Yeah, obviously, like I feel like that when Connor's driving, I'm like his biggest fan, and especially when I'm like his spotter, I will do and say anything basically, just to make sure that.
I don't have to quote what you said, but you said some things on that spotter stand where I was like, "Damn, all right,
like,
we need Jack here."
It's just kind of one of those things that, like, I don't know. It's probably something that'll probably end up getting me in trouble at some point, but I do like just saying what's on my mind, and kind of, it's just the best way to be, I feel. But yeah, like when it comes to getting to Long Beach last year, it was quite a big moment. Like, even though I wasn't driving, it was kind of cool to be like, like I remember for his top 16 in the seating bracket, like I was just on the radio and he was like, I'm kind of nervous. And I was like, why are you nervous? Like, I was like, we're here now. You know what I mean? I was like, it's time to go and show what you can do, basically. And like it was just kind of, then it kind of just snowballed. Obviously the season just kind of went and then it was gone. And we kind of just decided that, like, we may as well stay trying to expand to the stateside, basically.
Yeah. It's good to see. I'm excited. I know, I've watched enough of your drifting over the years and interviews and just behavior and how you are as a driver and as a personality. And I think it's, honestly, it's something that the sport needs is a driver like you that's very aggressive, not afraid to speak their mind, and just generally exciting, I think. And it's not like you force it, it's just who you are as a person.
Yeah, like I just think it's something I've just kind of went off of since I started driving. It hasn't even been like, it's not an act of me trying to come across, like this. It's just who I am. There is some drivers that try putting on, the big boy pants to see if they can, kind of build a character. And to be honest, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But I just kind of feel like that if you're comfortable doing what your normality is, then you're going to come across the best way. And like, even when it comes to my driving, like, I don't try drive aggressive just to suit my personality. I just like the style of drifting that I was first fell in love with, basically, was that kind of driving. And I was like, there's no point ever getting to, like, some people get to a pro level competition and they lose their style, basically, and they try follow the rule book of the judging and all that kind of thing, and they like slow down everything to make sure they win. And it's like, obviously I probably could tone down my wildness a little bit and probably get better results, but at the same time I feel like I'd enjoy it a lot less if I'd done that. So yeah, it's just kind of trying to stay true to what I feel like drifting should be, basically. So that's kind of where it all stems from,
Yeah. I kind of want to go way back. You come from, one of the biggest drifting areas in the world right now. We're still trying to figure out what's in the water on that street, because it doesn't make sense to me. But you started racing, as far as I can go back, at the age of 8, although the birth certificate you submitted said 10.
Yeah.
And that was Nissan. We call them Micras, but it's a March, I think, over there.
Yeah, we call it a Micra in Ireland also. I think I was
gotcha.
I think I was 9, not 8. So
okay.
the first time we started racing, the rules had just changed that you could race like up to 1,000cc, either a Nissan Micra or a Fiesta or like a Peugeot, like an old Moxie Peugeot. And then the rules basically said that it was 12 years of age and then it was changed to 10. And then my dad was like, you're close enough. So he was like, we'll build a car. So that was kind of how it all started.
Yeah. It's wild. It's good to see, getting, it kind of set the tone. I mean, I've met your dad twice, I think.
Yeah.
But he is an epic human being. He's just no holds bars. Like, whatever we got to do to get things done, whatever needs to happen, we're going to do it.
Yeah, he's fairly Irish. Would be a good way to look at it. If it's broke,
Fair.
it's not if it can be fixed, it's how it can be fixed, basically. It's not like there's never a question as to, like, we have to put it on the trailer and take it home to fix it. Like, it has to be fixed there and then, and that's kind of it. So,
right.
Yeah, it's he's kind of calmed down in the last couple of years, to be honest, when it comes to like the general side of the team in Europe, but when it comes to like any heavy hits or stuff that needs to get done straight away, like he's like the person that we keep in the cupboard, you know, and we're trying to like keep him locked away. And then when stuff goes really wrong, you're like, okay, you can come out now and do whatever. So
is he the one that kind of pioneered, you know, putting a car on its side in order to work on it? Because
yeah,
I've seen far too many photos of your family working on a car while it's on its side in the paddock. It's wild to me.
They brought in a rule after we started doing it, basically saying that it's illegal and that you will get disqualified from the event if you put the car on its side. It was actually quite safe.
Sketchy, dude.
It was actually quite safe because we used to turn it over like basically past its tilting point and then put a wheel under like the driver's pillar, let's say, and then it can't go either way. You know what I mean? Like, so because like obviously Dad used to race since he's been racing like we call it hot rod, but like it's basically like stock car, like oval racing, and he's been racing that since he was like 16, 17, like that. So obviously there was no such thing as a ramp or anything back then. So if you had to like change a gearbox or an axle or something, you just put it on its side and then fix it. But yeah, we used to always do our gearboxes on the side and all that kind of stuff. It would just be a little bit easier. It saved lying down on the ground.
I mean, if it works, right? Like it's just it's just not something you see very often.
No, I don't think it's something you'd see in America quite often. That's for sure.
I might have to try it though. I may just at the next grassroots event.
If you just lift it on.
Do you just need a bunch of people to get it up, or?
Yeah, just grab as many people as you can see, and just make sure the weight goes past its like, you know, falling back down point, and that it lands on the wheel, like that the weight is going the way it's lifted, and then that way it won't fall on you unless you try pull it back down.
Okay, good.
I feel like this is like top tips on how not to fix your car at the racetrack.
Yeah, I'm sure if that got pulled off in FD, like Kevin Wells would be all over. Like, no.
Kevin Wells would probably disagree with a lot of things that I'm going to do this season, so that's definitely one that I won't do.
I mean, I did read through the rule book, and there is nothing against zip tying a small bottle of whiskey to your A pillar, so you can keep doing that.
Yeah,
there's nothing in there. Yeah.
That's like the good luck charm. The story.
I mean, it worked in RDS, though.
Exactly. Yeah, the story with the whiskey bottle is, one of our head mechanics that was like our head mechanic at the time in Europe. On the way out to an event, we were having just like a couple of drinks on the airplane on the way, and it was like I think it was one of our first major European events that we were doing, and he was like after coming from like IDC to like Drift Masters at the time, basically, and. He was like on the airplane, and like it was one of the tiny like one shot bottles basically, and he brought it with me, and like when I sat into the car I seen a cable tied on the A pillar, and I was like, what's this about? And he was like that's your good luck charm, and I was like, okay. And then it didn't bring too much good luck. It brought some luck in Europe, but then when I went to RDS, the team surprised me with having it on there. And then when I won that championship at the end of the season, after the whiskey in the heat and the cold and the heat and the cold of all the season, they cut the cable tie and gave it to me to drink it. And I actually think it gave me some sort of a food poisoning for like 3 days after the event because I couldn't even go and celebrate. Like I literally drank it and instantly felt sick. And I went for like a meal that night, and we had the prize giving the next night. And I went and had like probably 4 drinks and had to go back. I still felt so bad. So I recommend putting something of alcohol on your car for good luck, but just don't drink it when the luck comes through because it's not nice. So,
is it true that they gave you guys like pressure washers for your wins at RDS?
Yeah. So I'm not too sure how to say it. Is it Kratcher or Karcher? The yellow power wash company. I don't know. If it's I don't even know if it's in the US. But basically, they were a sponsor of the championship, and every podium we got power washers. So I probably own like 6 or 7 power washers in Russia somewhere. But I'll probably end up never getting them. So yeah,
I think that's a lost cause at this point.
Yeah, they're just sitting there somewhere. Yeah,
That's
it's quite
awesome.
random.
We need to start doing that at all events, like weird sponsors that you just get like some strange item when it's all over.
It's a strange incentive. Like, money is definitely a better incentive, but here's a power washer.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, some series, like not in drifting, but like NASCAR, they'll give away like a whole car. Like you'll be able to win a car.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, that makes sense. Like, but yeah, pressure washer.
That's pretty cool, to be fair. Yeah. Pressure
I'd be
washer
cool with a
is
car.
like, yeah.
It's useful, but it's definitely a strange one.
Yeah, it's definitely. Well, especially if you win like 4 of them, like you only need one. So, yeah.
Watch now, James is going to start asking for like riding lawnmowers. Like that'll be his thing. Like, hey, get John Deere to sponsor it so I can get a riding lawnmower. Exactly.
Yeah. It's funny. Every time you go to James, he's like, oh, I can't wait for the weather to get better. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, I must cut the grass. And I'm like, there's a lot more things that you should be excited for. Cutting the lawn is not something that you should be excited for. So
I love that, like, of all the things, and it's been almost an ongoing joke now since I first learned that.
Yeah.
That I try and bring it up whenever I can, but it's like, of all the driving he does, that's the one he looks forward to.
Yeah, no, it's funny. Like whenever he's finished cutting the lawn, like he's just like, stands there like a proud dad, He like stands,
just like that.
Yeah, like at his house, he's got like a full like glass front of the sitting room basically, and like, you can just picture him standing there like being like, yeah, that's another couple of weeks sorted. So no, it's funny. It is funny.
Oh man. So I guess we've talked about it previously on the show, but like how far away were you from him growing up? Because I found photos of you guys like 13 years ago in the same car together, stuff like that. Like it's true. You guys really did kind of grow up together.
Yeah. Like, so obviously James is a couple of years older than me. So growing up, I kind of knew who he was and knew what he was doing. And the reason why we kind of knew them really was because they were drifting. His brother Mike owned the garage, D&M Sport, and they actually didn't have a tire machine, even though they'd done drifting. I'm not too sure if they didn't have a tire machine or if it was always broke, one or the other. But basically, they used to come to my dad's garage to use a tire machine. So I used to always be like, floating around the yard, and I'd see them changing like 12, 14 tires at a time before a weekend of drifting. And I was always like, asking questions, what do you do? What is it that you are into and all that kind of stuff. And obviously they tried explaining, but I was only like 6, 7 years of age. So it didn't really make any sense to me at the time. But I remember one night when I was like, I would say 9, maybe 8 or 9, and James's brother Mike actually drove his PS13 drift car from his house to my house because like we basically live on the same road. And he came in and I was in the yard and he'd like done a load of donuts in the yard. And this is like a 2.1 or a 2.2 SR20, like with 500 horsepower. It was like the most insane thing I've ever seen in my life. And then he was like, jump in, I'll take you for a spin. And then he took me for a spin on the road. And I was like, this is insane. Like fully stripped out car, the stones hitting the bottom of the DS13, and then just like managing along the road. And I was like, this is cool. This is what I want to do. But like they are very close to us. And then when I got my first S13, Mike like came with us and drove the S13 from where we bought it to my house. And then the next day, we rang James and was like, do you want to, come over and go through the car for us and get, some bit of extra lock and just kind of a quick setup and make sure that it's ready for the track. And that was kind of how our friendship started, was taking the track rods off of an S13 and pushing the center out of Euro coins and pushing it in as rack spacers, and just going to like our first track day. So that was kind of how I started the friendship with James. But at the time I was like just turned 12 or something like that, so I was quite young still, and he was like 16, 17, maybe more, something like that. So I was still just some random kid to James probably, but to me I was like, this is cool. This fella's a good driver, and he's fixing my car. So, that's kind of how it started.
And it escalated very, very quickly from there. I mean, you got into Irish Drifting Championship at that point, and then I guess it would have been like the rookie class you won first year.
Yeah, so when I done like my first couple of practice days when I was like 11, 12, and then I wanted to compete, but the rule was 13 years of age for drifting. But there was like this like amateur championship called Drift Fest that was that ran at the time, and the guy that ran Drift Fest basically was like, look, I can change my insurance to 12 years of age and you can compete in our amateur championship. And I was like, okay. So then we done that season, and then turned 13. So I done the last round of the Pro Drift Championship, last 2 rounds actually of the Pro Drift Championship in 2012, and done the semi-pro on that. And my first event crashed straight into the wall. First practice lap. So that was a terrible experience. And then the second one, I don't think I even qualified. And then obviously went to 2013. We had a lot of sea time that winter. And 2013 competed in the rookie and semi-pro. It was like a mashed together class. And basically you got your rookie points from qualifying and your semi-pro points for your battles. And I ended up winning the rookie and the semi-pro in 2013. But also I got offered to send my car to Drift All-Stars in 2013, which was like the European Championship at the time. And ended up finishing 5th in the Drift All-Stars Championship as well, like first year competing. So that was kind of like what happened to make my career get to, you know, a more of a higher level instantly, basically. So then that was like my European debut, was also my first year of rookie drifting.
Yeah,
so,
that's nuts. And then BDC championship the next year, right? Like it was just
not
right
the
on
next year. It was so 2013. Yeah, 2013, 2014. I done Drift All Stars and finished 5th and 6th in the championship both years. But we kind of ran out of money towards the end of 2014 as we were at the end of a recession and things weren't great, and obviously sponsorship wasn't a big thing, so it was just kind of dead putting everything he had into what we were doing. And then we done BDC and IDC 2015, and I won the British Championship. I was runner-up in the Irish Championship, and then I won 2015, 2016 BDC, and then won IDC 2017 and 2019. So, yeah, it was a hectic couple of years. It just happened really fast. And yeah, we were kind of lucky though. Like we kind of came through, like, you know, not the golden era of Irish drifting, but kind of the era that kind of really blew it up to a more of a worldwide audience with, like, you know, Dave Egan running IDC and stuff, because we had like proper live stream and good media. And like we done like a Heroes for the Weekend. It was like a documentary thing. So like we were like, you know, it was like smoke and mirrors, and it was kind of funny. Like I was like 15. I couldn't talk in front of the camera. You know, I had no beard. Absolutely. It was funny. But yeah, it was a good time of drifting, that's for sure.
Yeah. It was an epic era. And I mean, that's also, I feel like a lot of people stateside started to learn more about it at that point. So you were kind of the head, one of the head people coming out of there. And it was just like, I don't know, it was just a good lineup at the time. And I mean, really the competitors you were up against, it wasn't like you're up against a bunch of schlubs. Like the drivers that came out of there were insane. Like to win that many championships and that many battles and that many events against that lineup is pretty epic.
Yeah. Like what's kind of funny is that if you look at the people that we were battling in IDC then, the same 4, maybe 5 drivers are still in the top 10 of Drift Masters, like to now, you know? So I think that was like so like obviously everyone is like, you know, why are Irish drifters so good? You know, between James, Connor, Dwayne, me, and there's another probably 3 IDC drivers that if they did have the financial support to go to Drift Masters or even form the drift, I know for sure they would do very, very well. And I don't think it was ever to do with, you know, like obviously everyone's naturally good at what they're doing, but everyone always had a target to follow, you know. It's not like there was ever anyone that was just the best and then there was nobody catching him. So like for us, it was James, and then Dwayne got as good as James. And then James was like, no, back down again. Then James got better. And then I beat James. And then, it was just like a ladder of everybody just switching around of like who was going to be the best one. And obviously James is still the best one because he's proved it. But, it's, it's not now. It's not like we could be like, oh, no, we're still better than James. But no, like it was just kind of one of those things. I remember the first time I beat James, it was a global warfare event that we had in IDC, and he actually made a mistake. And I was like, I must be doing something right if the presence of me made him, the person that never makes mistakes, make a mistake. And then I beat him that time, and then I didn't beat him for like another, I would say, year and a half. He got beat, and he was like, that can't happen again. It was kind of like it, and I think that's why Irish drifting was so good, is that we always had someone that would get ahead, and then it would just keep switching around. That everyone had the target on their back at some point, basically.
Yeah, I think you couldn't escape driving against good drivers. Like in the US, if you just wanted to compete, you could find series that maybe aren't as developed or they're relatively new, and you could be a decent driver and go there and win an event. Whereas in Ireland, you had IDC. Yeah, that was kind of it. I mean, there's a couple. Yeah. So it was like, if you wanted to drive, you were driving against the best all the time, no matter what.
Exactly.
So you had to be good. You wanted to drive, you had to be good.
Yeah. I think like it does confuse me sometimes when I look at America, and I'm like, how is it not producing more better drivers? You know what I mean? So like you have very good drivers, but to me, I'm like, if you look at the scale of America compared to the scale of Ireland, it's a massive difference in population, tracks, cars, everything is smaller here. So it is kind of confusing sometimes when you're like, America has all these little championships, where you think that it would be easier to find, that one very good person that's going to keep climbing through the ranks and then eventually end up in FD. But, when you look at the grid, year on year, it's usually the same top American drivers staying at the top. So it confuses me a little bit.
I think a lot of it is budget, to be honest. Like, there's so many drivers out there that the budgets get split so much thinner. And that's really what it comes down to, right? Is like, what stops a lot of great drivers is the funding part of it. It's just not being able to put the money together. Because, I mean, it's expensive, right? I mean, even European side of things, it's not cheap. Yeah. But the travel is just massive. Not that the European travel is not looking at Driftmaster's schedule. Like there's definitely some hikes in there, but
it's not great.
That's the only thing I can think of. Yeah. It's
it's not great. That's all I've been stressed about the last 2 days, and it's not great. But
you're just looking at the logistics.
Yeah, trying to figure everything out. But
I think it's just everything in Ireland. I mean, looking at like Ireland, Poland, Norway, you look at these like breeding grounds, even like what's happening in Spain right now, like Spanish drifting is getting pretty wild. Yeah. Even like Emirates and Oman, like I was watching the Oman series, and like, man, they're catching up quick. Like they're still a few years back, but like,
oh, absolutely,
not many.
They're making like, their progress isn't like, it's like this, so it's
it's exactly,
which is, it's kind of like, it's like watching Oman. It's kind of like watching IDC from back in the day, like with having international drivers, and then you're watching like the final. Now I know it was one of my friends in the final at the last round, but like, you're watching the final and you're like, this is very, very good, but Tomas is actually another driver that I should have mentioned when I was saying about having targets in your back about IDC, because he's very, very good.
Well, I mean, it's I think those little microcosms, when you can't like escape it and you just have to drive with really good drivers all weekend, that's what does it. I mean, we saw it in Canada for a fair bit of time. It's still there. You see it in Southern California. We're seeing it in Florida. It's like these pockets where it's just like you can't escape great drivers, but it just brings everybody else up.
Oh,
you've seen it with skateboarding and so many different sports.
It's the only way that you can actually keep progressing, as drivers. And I think, to be honest, like FD was actually kind of one of those things that, like, I think maybe like 2015, 2016, the grid didn't like plateau, but like the progress slowed down a small little bit. And then James came in 2017 and everyone was like, okay, maybe we're actually not that good, And then everybody was like, okay, but like, again, what confused me was that everybody was able to step up to it, like more or less straight away. And I'm like, why did they slow down by themselves? But again, it's because there was no one with a target on their back, basically, So I think that's the big thing, is that like when someone's only a little bit ahead of you, it's very easy to get comfortable, maybe like, beating them once or twice and not beating them all the time. As where when someone comes in that's way ahead of you, you're like, okay, we really need to put the work in and get better. So it's we traditionally like break down FD's eras based on a driver coming in that like kind of just screwed everything up, where like in a good way, like exactly,
Daigo Saito, James Dean,
it's
same thing.
Is a bit mad.
Yeah, and I think we're very close to like in that era right now with I mean, whether it's going to be, I think it's going to be just a young era that's coming in right now. Right. With Connor especially is a great example of that. Manoa, we talked about a lot, but even like Cameron Sorensen, who's going to be coming up pretty soon. Like there's a lot of these really, really young drivers that are coming up that it's like, they just don't care.
Exactly.
They drive with so much reckless abandonment. Like,
they're just not worried. They can leave it all on the track. You know what I mean? And it's like, if they come
they're not
back,
thinking about the bills.
Exactly. No, not at all. Like I remember when I was young, like driving when I was 13, 14, like I honestly think that when I turned like 18 and figured out like responsibility a little bit more, my driving actually got a little bit worse in a way, because I was at that point as well, I was like, transitioning from like leaving school, trying to figure out how to make money and like basically run the drift cars myself, more or less. It really brought my driving standard down, I think. And I was like, I kind of, even still, I have to try like relearn that these guys don't give a shit, basically. They're like not worried about anything happening. And, you have to have that same mindset or else it's going to be very hard to beat these people. Like Hero, like I think Hero goes into the car and, that guy, he is going to be so good. Like he's going to be really hard beat this season and for the next probably 10 seasons, because he's still going to be young. You know what I mean? Like he's going to be the same age as Connor basically in 10 years time. You know what I mean? So like it's kind of scary. You're like, do I retire now or then? So but it's like it is one of those things that you're like, the youth is definitely something where you're like, it for sure brings a new spark to how they drive and the aggression they're going to bring to everything. Yeah.
There's definitely something about the youth. There's a lot with experience that I don't know that we talk about like enough. Like there's situations that you get into that you have to, the only way you can win that situation is by experience, right?
Yeah.
Whether that's like driving around a broken part or a car that's down on power, like things along those lines, or the other one that has kind of, I'm constantly watching drifting, but like, I don't know if Manoa's been in a situation yet where he's like truly been bullied around the track, where somebody is just like in the side of him, like tapping all the way around. He's had a couple where he's been tapped a few times. He's able to adapt, but like there is something to be said when somebody is basically bullying you around the track. Can you keep your shit together and not like, because there are drivers who do that. They can drive that way. I mean, you are definitely one of those people where you can bully from the chase and cause mistakes in the lead doing that.
Yeah. So, like to be honest, I feel it myself. Being the higher qualifier, like we still run qualifying system in Europe. So when you're the higher qualifier, you have to lead first, basically. And me and a couple of other drivers have often talked about, should the rulebook basically say that if you're the higher ranked driver or the higher qualifier going into a battle, you should get the call whether you lead or chase first? And I think it would make it very interesting.
I like that.
Because
I do. Yeah, I agree.
I always say it basically that, like, you know, if you chase first, you set the tone. So like you're saying, if you can chase first and like absolutely door somebody, knowing that it's going to get in their head a small bit, like, you know, it's kind of like you've already kind of pulled the rope a small bit towards you, you know. But you know, I feel like it's a rule that should be looked into, to be honest. It would make it interesting.
I think you get to choose like pulling up to the line. So the other driver has no idea, right? Like it's the moment, like you pull up and it could be like a whole moment where it's just like, is he going to go left? Is he going to go right?
Yeah. Like the rule book should just say that the higher qualifier or the higher ranked driver moves into the burnout box first, and wherever he pulls to is the decision. So it'll be interesting. It would definitely be good.
Yeah.
Like it would make for some interesting battles because, you know, in some tracks I would see my chasing being my strong point, and then in other tracks I'd see my lead run being my strong point. So it's not like everyone's going to choose to either chase or lead first every time, because I think everyone has strong, like, more strengths and weaknesses in different tracks. So it would definitely be interesting. So maybe they can change the rule. Yeah,
I don't know. Somebody's going to listen to this. Hopefully,
surely.
You know. Yeah, I don't think we've had any like big changes come out of this show yet, but I think that could be one of them.
Yeah.
There's still time.
I'm not even in the States and I'm already changing the rules.
Hey, I mean, I'm okay with it. I enjoy the change. I know a lot of people like things like set the way they are, but I'm like, man, I don't know. I want it different every time. Like every year we should have something that's mixes things up a bit and is just different.
Like it would be cool. Just, you know, I think obviously like drifting is kind of one of those things because we have the freedom of it being a judged sport anyway. We can change the rules quite easily, you know, to have these kind of different little scenarios every season. So, you know, and I guess like we created a sport basically. There's no one really telling us what to do. So it's
well, I mean, we're still creating it. Like that's the best part is we're still making it, right?
Yeah. So I like that's the thing as well, is that I feel like drifting will never get to the highest level of like an acknowledged motorsport basically, unless we perfect the layout and the structure of a drift weekend properly, you know. So because I feel like every time I explain drifting to somebody, you know, it takes a lot of explaining because you can't just be like, oh, he made it to the finish line first or something like that, you know. So it is a bit confusing for some people, but I feel like that obviously time is never going to be something that's going to be brought into drifting, but there has to be an easier way of getting people to sit down and watch what we're doing, because obviously everyone's going to sit down and watch it because it's exciting. But if you're going to sit down and watch it because it's exciting, you're not going to have a clue who wins or loses. So, and it's still a competition. So,
yeah, it's funny though, because like we'll watch like, you know, baking shows where there's no like hard rule as to who wins this. But it's just, you know, there's still some rules around it. And but like I can watch a baking show and be like, oh, that guy's gonna win. Like for sure it's gonna be them. And then it's like it's not, and you're like, what the heck? Like, you know, it's just a matter of providing enough information and enough like structure around it that anybody can understand it and immediately be invested in it. Like we're really close to it. It's just we're not. We're missing something.
It's definitely closer than what it was a couple of years back. It's dude. And obviously it's helping with having, you know, more of a fan base, you know, because even people that aren't fans, they're still hearing about it, and at least then when it does come to ever them watching it or seeing it, they have some idea as to what is happening. It doesn't just look like a load of idiots on the track.
I mean, some days we still do, but I know what you're getting at.
Well, if you come to FD or any other high level event, you should be able to see that it's a competition. Obviously, if you go to some grassroots kind of thing, there's a chance that it's going to look a bit more reckless. Yeah,
it's still fun though. I enjoy. There are definitely days where I enjoy going to like a grassroots event almost more than high level competition, because it's like, you get to remember what it's like again. You get to you know, see somebody excited to link the track for the first time. There's like you know,
and they're not
because we forget. No, they're not stressed.
Me myself, like I much prefer jumping in my 86 and going to the track and just driving it, because you know you're not there to work. You're there just to enjoy the thing that you realize that you love doing, and then you chase it so hard you made it your job, and then you don't really enjoy your job because you're like, I'm under too much pressure. So it's it is nice to be able to go to like track days or like grassroots events and just chill out, you know, and just drive and be like, this is like, it reminds yourself as to why we sacrifice so much to try to do what we're doing.
What I guess how are you balancing that? Because this will be arguably the most stressful, difficult, you know, insane year of your life. Like, and I mean, it will be for me too. So I guess I'm asking more for advice. But like, how do you try and manage that?
I don't. To be honest, I haven't even thought about it properly. To the point where I'm like, you know,
neither have I.
You know, like I'm not even joking when I say like the last 2 days have been stressful, because we've been trying to like plan our truck routes or flight routes or accommodation, everything for Europe. And then I'm literally trying to like switch my brain to like European Jack is now more or less everything is almost booked, and that we have a structure and a plan. I haven't even switched to American Jack yet. So like we have some stuff like pre-booked and everything, but trying to like mentally prepare myself to, you know, do transatlantic flights. What is it? 8 times this year? 7 times? Actually, 9 times, because I'm going pretty soon for pre-season. So it's like, you know, my brain is not really willing to mash it together yet. So I kind of have to like one side and the other side. So maybe mid-season we can meet up for a mid-season cry and a de-stress.
Let's do that, please.
Yeah, and we can chill out. So
wouldn't that be a sight? It's like all of us, you know, double dippers just in this circle crying together, being like,
literally,
I haven't seen my family, and like
yeah, just freaking out. How the hell am I gonna go home?
Yeah.
But
oh man,
yeah, no, it's just one of those things that, like, you know, I'm kind of looking at it as a way of, this is something that I've kind of worked my whole career towards, is being on like the greater stage. You know, like you know, you've put a lot of your time and effort into making sure that you're going to be the voice of something. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like one of those things where you're just like, I have to sacrifice it and make it happen, because it's what I've already half sacrificed for. You may as well, you know, make it what you really want to do. So
yeah,
that's kind of how I'm looking at it.
At least for me, like I have to disassociate myself from the situation. Where if I get too caught up in my own head about the whole thing, I start freaking out. Right? Like if I really, really think about it, I'll start. I wouldn't say like a panic attack, but I'll definitely have a moment where I'm like, what is going on? So
I can relate.
I've had to like bite size the whole thing and be like, okay, just one trip at a time, one event at a time. You know, I still have to plan everything. I have to build the infrastructure to make sure I can do it. But if I sit back and look and be like, hey, you know, this is going to sound a little arrogant, but it's like, I'm going to be the most listened to person in drifting for a year.
Exactly.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Like that makes no sense.
And that's the thing, is that like,
I start freaking out.
you need to acknowledge that you have worked this hard to get to this point. You know what I mean? So freaking yourself out about it is like an option that shouldn't really be there, because it's not like you were working this hard for nothing. You know what I mean? Because if there was no next step, you'd be almost disappointed. So it's like, when you like that's how I look at it. I'm like, I wouldn't have worked this hard to get to my point of my career right now if I didn't actually want this to be the point of my career, you know? So
exactly,
it's like trying to, no, I have to remind myself of this scenario once a week because I'm like, this is not worth it. But it's like, that's just the path we've chose, and the stress levels come with it. So it's all part of the fun and games.
There's too many things we've given up to give up now. That's exactly kind of how I look at it. Like yeah,
Exactly.
there's just too much of the rest of my life I've had to put aside or not do, and things that I've missed that if I gave up now, all of that's wasted.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, no, this is the next thing. So yeah.
No,
I hear you.
absolutely.
I feel you. I feel you deep on that one, man.
Yeah. I might actually use that quote. That's a good one. So yeah. So
I'll have at it.
yeah, no, it's just it is going to be stressful for sure. But I'm just excited that it's kind of like, even if it goes like in my head, I have like obviously the perfect scenario where I'm like, this is how it's going to go. It's going to be this easy to do it, blah, blah, blah. And that's just kind of to keep myself as sane as possible. But it's going to be like every other roller coaster we get on. It's going to have its ups, its downs, its fast, its slows. And it's like, you just need to take all of it. And then when you get to the end, you can either choose to re-queue for the roller coaster or else you can go home. So it's like, that's the way it is. But I've re-queued for many years now.
I'll trade you.
I've re-queued for many years now. So I've re-queued for many years now. So I may as well keep re-queuing. You know what I mean? So it's but yeah, it's gonna be good fun for sure.
Good. Have you set an expectation or like what you would consider successful for this year? Like, do you have that in your mind, or are you just like, no, I know a lot of drivers like, no, I'll be champion of both. Like anything else is a disappointment. So I don't know where you set your expectations.
My biggest issue is that I cannot make my expectations any lower than what I really want. And that is to be champion of both. And like losing the last couple of years has been fairly heartbreaking. Like it's at the end of last year, like I completely had a big breakdown. Like I was in a dark place, not a very dark place, but just, I was just kind of like so like bummed with everything. And then when I tried to like get to this point again where I'm like setting my expectations for the year, I'm like, is it even realistic to try think that that's like a possibility basically? But my brain won't let me do any less basically, to think that I just want to win everything. So I'm not like, so I think last year Connor went to FD with the intentions of like, get his feet on the ground and then he can come back swinging, which he definitely will be this year. But I could never go somewhere just to get my feet on the ground, so I don't know. My expectation of FD is at least a top 3 finish. Like that's what I really want at the end of the year. So like I, by no means do I think it's impossible, but I do need to be somewhat realistic that it obviously, like it's going to be new tracks, new time zones, a new car, a team that I don't even know basically. But yeah, the last time I had this scenario, I came out a champion. So I'm hoping that I can do the same. So it's
a good point.
Yeah. So we'll see. But yeah, I wish my brain could be like, settle for a top 10 or a top 15 in both, and then you'll be happy. At least you're still showing up, you're still doing your thing, and that's it. But unfortunately, it's just how I was raised. Like, if you're not first, you're last. That's kind of how it's always been. And it's to be honest, this is a quote that I have like on everything. Like it's in my bedroom, and it's like, I don't know. I don't even know why it's a quote I stand by because it stresses me out a lot. But it's like, it's one of those things that like, it's just, I feel like that the only way I can be as good as I need to be is to put myself under that pressure that I want to win, So yeah. But it's been like this since I was racing. Like when I was 10 years of age, like if I didn't win a race, I was not happy. Like I would be so angry at myself for losing, Like I wouldn't even bring home my 2nd or 3rd place trophies from race events. I used to just bring home the 1st place ones and that was it. So it's just a mindset because I don't think like not many people have been in the same, scenario of me and Connor growing up. Like my dad was a very successful race car driver and he expected no less from us. And if you'd done less, you nearly got in trouble for it. You know, it was like you got given out to if you didn't go fast enough or didn't win a race. You know, it was always brought up. It was always something that was like just kind of nailed into you that you had to try to be the best at least.
Yeah, but that mentality is needed. It's necessary to be a champion. I mean, there's very few champions out there that don't have that mentality in some regard.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, you know, I think even James is the same. You know, he says that it's every lap at a time, basically. But I know for a fact that he's thinking that it has to be a win. You know, like I know how competitive, I know how much it means to him to get all these wins and all these titles, you know, and it means the same for all of us. And that's the worst thing, is that there can only be one winner at the end, you know. So that's the part that really that everyone struggles with it, because you know how good the people that you're driving with are, you know, and it's hard to be like, am I actually good enough to beat them, you know? But then I think if you start questioning that, I may as well stay in Kilavolan anyway if I start questioning that. But it's that's where I'm at with my expectations, I guess.
How good are you at spelling? Do you think you could spell? What does this say? What do these letters combined make? PODCAST 25. Podcast 25. You know what that spells? 20% savings. Crazy, right? Podcast 25 at checkout for the FD store. Now, it's only, you can't just yell it. You can't just go to the event, go to the booth and start screaming podcast 25 at them. Don't do that. Please don't do that. It would be kind of funny, but don't do it, because it won't work. Discount codes don't work that way. You got to go to the store, online, check it out, grab some FD merch. You got one shot at this too. I don't know if I explained this earlier, but this is the time. Build a big cart. Use the code, because it's 20% off. The way percentages work, the more you buy, the more you save. Very simple. No, that's fair. That's fair. I know James is very humble, but I've seen, and I know you've seen, like, the true competitor that he is as well.
Yeah.
And he's really good at being calm and collected in interviews and things like that, but being behind the scenes enough now, I've seen the level of competitive that he gets into. Yeah. I always joke, like, where you'll see it, it's kind of weird, is like, you guys will, and I say you drivers in general, you'll be competitive in really weird ways. Like, you know, if you go out for, you know, like Top Golf or something, or go-karting is hell. Yeah. Go-karting with pro drivers is hell. I've stopped doing it because it's not fun for me anymore, because you guys are just psychos out there. But even I've watched drivers start to walk faster than another driver to get to the door first. And it's like, I don't know if you guys even know you're doing it, but you're doing it.
It's just the mentality, you know. And I think that's the thing, is that some people are like, obviously you can train yourself to be this competitive with stuff, but like I hate losing at everything. You know what I mean? Like, if me and Connor are doing anything around the house, like, it's a competition. Like, bringing the shopping in from the car for my mother, like, you have to bring in more bags than Connor, you know, or else you lose. And like, it's not even that you're thinking it's like, you haven't even mutually agreed that it's competition, but you will try to grab every bag because you know that you've done better than them at that point. So, you know, it's funny how some people just have it, because some people that you talk to, they couldn't care less if they lose at everything that they've ever done, which I think is quite sad. Yeah. Because I could never see the enjoyment out of doing something to not want to be the best at it. So. Yeah, that's fair. That's totally fair. Changing things up a little bit. Have you had a chance yet to test out any of the tires in the US? Like, have you? Because it's so different, right? It's such a different tire. Yeah. No, I've never driven on any tire that is available to me. I kind of have a tire of choice at the moment, but again, it's going off of word of mouth as to what it will do, how it will react, how it will suit me, hopefully. Because, like you said, the difference in tires between FD and Europe is there's a big difference. Like it's almost like night and day. You know what I mean? So that's going to be the biggest thing, I think, is trying. So like my driving has always relied on having like a super, super grippy front end of the car. And in FD, it's not an option to have front end grip because you're trying so hard to get all of the rear grip in the car. So now I have a little bit of experience with it because with 36, I was helping Connor a lot with setup, even from here, like during weekends. And a lot of my knowledge that I was giving him worked basically. So I'm kind of hoping that I can just cross it over and that it will still be relative, you know, that I'll have less front and less rear grip and that it'll be easier for me to figure out. But I hope that it doesn't come that I'm going to have less rear grip and have less front grip because I'll be very confused. So that's going to be the biggest thing. But yeah, it is like a scare factor of this season, to be honest.
I mean, I have all the confidence that you'll be able to figure it out. I just wanted to see, because that is the biggest difference is, you know, there's just FD's mechanical grip. It's all about dialing in the car to do that, where, you know, you don't have to do that as much when you've got a much stickier tire. Yeah,
like I'm kind of lucky that I worked, you know, like I work with cars every day basically when it comes to setups and alignments and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of part of what I offer to people is to try set up cars and, you know, make them as good as I can make them basically. I'm not by no means saying that I'm a genius when it comes to setup or anything, but I have my ways of doing things. And, you know, even though in Drift Masters we don't run the grippiest tire, but we run a tire that is easier to drive on basically, but we can make the car as fast as the other cars. So we haven't left the mechanical grip completely in Europe with our cars, which is a good thing. You know what I mean? So like we still have to use our head when it comes to your suspension, your all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's going to be confusing. Like, you know, flicking in, and if nothing happens with the steering wheel, I'm going to be like, this is like going back to the start, you know? So that's kind of where my, that's kind of like one of my worries where I'm like, this could go against me a lot, basically. But, yeah, we'll see. We have to just take it as it comes. And to me, I'm just going to picture it that all the tires are black and round and that they're all going to do the same thing. So, job done.
Fair. Yeah. Whatever happens at that point. Yeah, like that. So you talked a lot about setting up other cars. I mean, you're obviously somebody who's a wrench, like you're constantly working on stuff. If you had to pick between actually building cars and driving cars, which one would you stick with?
Well, I'd probably stick with driving because like it's a lot more enjoyable, you know, like straight off. But like if it was like stick to driving, but only ever compete again, I don't know, would I pick it? You know what I mean? Because like we were saying previously, the competing side of things is what stresses us out, and that you need to go back to your roots to, like, you know, re-spark the flame a little bit. So I'm not too sure. Like it depends on what the contract says. So, but yeah, like I probably would pick driving, to be fair. Like, you know, it's a lot less stressful building cars for people and working on cars and all that kind of stuff. It's much easier if you can just tell someone to go do what you need done. You know what I mean? But especially if you trust their pair of hands, that's the biggest thing, is trying to figure out if they can use their hands how you want it to be used, basically. You know? So. Yeah. There's a lot of, I mean, there's a ton of trust in that. I know we've alluded to it a bit. We haven't really gotten into it too deep yet, but are you able to talk about the
team, I guess, or crew that you're working with for this season?
The crew and team, the crew, I don't know. But the team will be, me and Rome will be the team. So basically, I'm taking Connor's option from last year and driving with Rome.
Okay.
But I will not be driving the E36. So, yeah, that's why I'm saying it's going to be a new car for me to try and figure stuff out. But yeah, Rome has been working super hard to make the physical side of things stateside happen for me, which I appreciate a lot. But yeah, mentioning the grandstand chat that I said sparked this season happening was when Rome got knocked out last year. I had been on the radio with him for his battle with LZ, and then when I went back to commiserate him, we just had a quick chat, and then we watched the rest of the event together on the grandstand, and we were just chatting, and he was like, I don't see why it's not possible. And then he gave me this option for the car and everything, like basically sitting there watching the event. And I was like, do you reckon it's possible? And he said, I don't see why not. He was like, I'll put the work in and that's it. And I was like, okay. So I kind of promised him there and then that I would do it, thinking that I would be able to gather the budget a bit easier. But I've committed to the cause now, so I have no other choice. But it's just that's what I'll be doing, is that Rome will be kind of running everything for me, the same as he done for Connor last year.
Yeah, he's really good at talking people into things. I mean, he's smooth that way. Oh yeah.
Like he could have said anything to be that night, and I probably would have been like, you know what, let's do it. So I'm not too sure.
He's so damn positive. Yeah.
Oh, man, I think that's the one thing that we're going to not try get rid of, because that's a bad thing, but him try get rid of some of my negativity will be a big thing, because my brain usually struggles to see the bigger picture, like if one thing goes wrong, I can usually see it snowballing to the next thing that goes wrong. As where I feel like with Rome, he can, one thing, two thing, the third thing, the fourth thing goes wrong, and he's still like, it's all fine. And I'm like, it's not fine. The house is on fire. And he's like, no, it's okay. And I'm like, okay, it must be okay. So I don't know how he's like, the most positive guy I've ever in my life met, to be honest. It's there's credibility to it, because it must be hard to see the bright side of everything all the time. So like we've had some FaceTime calls where he's like in his little shop trying to figure something out, because the car I'm driving is right-hand drive, and Rome has never done anything with a right-hand drive car. So he's like on FaceTime to me, being like, how am I going to do this? And I'm like, I would do it like this. And then he's like, oh, that's a lot of work. And I'm like, it is. And then he just shrugged his shoulders, and he's like, okay, well, I'll leave you go because I've got work to do. And I'm like, okay. Like there's no questioning as to like, why did I take on this, But to him, it's just like, let's just get it done, and that's it. Like, don't complain. Yeah. So it is cool. So I'm looking forward to, spending the season with him, and just like I think his energy alone will be good to keep me relaxed and in the mindset I need to be in. Yeah, he's very motivational in that way. I mean, I've had a lot of talks, and I've seen him after some pretty, not great events and just shit going on. And he's just, he accepts it. He acknowledges that something's not a great situation, but you never hear him like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like he's just like, we keep going, we keep moving. Yeah, like, exactly. Yeah, it's always forward. There's never stationary with him. I think is the biggest thing, is that like he doesn't stop to look at the bed for long enough to even make it more of a situation than what it is. His brain is like, just go, and just keep it going. Which is I respect it a lot, because I've run against a lot of walls, and I'm like, how am I going to climb over this? As where he just floats over them all the time. So no, it's good. It's good. I'm looking forward to it.
I will say this, and I don't need you to. I don't even want you to tell me. But this obviously opens up the bigger question of what's going on with Connor, which I kind of just want to let the rumor mill go on that one. I have a few ideas and some good information, but that's it'll be interesting. He just sits back, takes a drink, like, yeah, it is interesting.
Yeah, I think people are going to be surprised when Connor announces what he's doing, because the rumors are all wrong. So
really,
more or less, yeah. So from what I've seen, they're all wrong, because there is like the one major rumor, and people are like, that is happening, and I'm like, no, it's not. So yeah, because like we're not too far away, like as of right now. Like we were saying, we don't know when this is going to go live, but from right now, I would say 3, maybe 4 weeks, Connor will probably announce what he's doing as well. Okay. So yeah, it's interesting. He'll be I won't give any secrets, but
that's
he'll
all
be
good.
I think he'll be happier this year.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try and line that up and get him on the show around then. You know, I always like lining these up whenever I can with you guys, having something big to talk about. It's good for the views for sure, but it lets the drivers explain a little bit better, and because it's tough, man. When like you make those press releases, you make that social media post, it's like, hey, here's the thing. Yeah. But I've had no opportunity to tell you everything else that went into why this is going on.
Exactly. Yeah. That's actually one thing. Like, so my biggest issue also is that I'm not very good on social media when it comes to like doing posts and stuff. But I have no problem doing YouTube because it's more formal and I get to do a lot more of explaining as to what's going on, because to me, I see no point in an Instagram post where you just put a picture of a car and like, you know, we're going to the shops or something silly. You know what I mean? Like there's no context as to what's going on, and it's just it's informal, you know, and to me, it's my take on it basically, is that like, I just think it's informal, and I'm like, you know, I much prefer holding the camera, explaining what's happening and talking to the people that are supporting me and giving them more of an insight as to what's happening. You know what I mean? So that's it's one thing I have to work on for if I want to continue a career in FD, is to make sure that my social media game is up a little bit. But yeah, it's I'm not too sure if I'll ever be like Ryan Turk, you know, because
that's where you put it out. That's like
so, like you know, like Ryan Turk, Fawn Gittin, you know, like. Yeah. I look at these people doing posts and stuff, and like they're constantly doing it, and I'm like, these guys are so good at what they're doing. You know what I mean? I'm like, I wish I could be half as good. You know, so,
I can't speak to like both of those drivers, but there are a fair bit of drivers that have like a person that handles a lot of it. Although both Kirk and Vaughn post a lot of personal stuff, so it's like, you know, obviously that's not a marketing agency taking care of that.
Yeah, no, of course, but. It's maybe I need a marketing agency to do my stuff that I think is
there you go.
In some ways not needed.
The YouTube stuff's good. I do like the Shanahan's videos are awesome. Big fan. I've been watching them for a fair bit now. I have a YouTube account and an Instagram account that all it does is follow drifters and nothing else. So I can just, whenever I need my fix, I can just go in and just binge content.
Easy find. Yeah, easy find. Everything's there.
Yeah, it's so nice. That's how I keep all the notes up, man. I just, you know, I'll spend like a day just watching everything I can. But
yeah, I must say, I don't understand how you are so, like, is it informative? I don't know, whatever the word is, of like taking in so much stuff, because I'm so bad, like with names and everything. Like I need to watch something like to 100% concentration, or like I will forget everything that happened, you know. And then like you can go into the notes in your head for somehow, and like that amazes me.
I mean, so there is. I do have like notes up here, like there, like don't get me wrong, there are notes up here,
but you know, like. You're not going to have notes up there for Drift Masters or for FD this year. You know what I mean? And you're still going to have it on hand. And might like that amazes my brain because my brain doesn't work like that, you know. So
yeah, but I can't do what you guys do in the car. I mean, it's so different. Like
we have our niches, but
yeah, I don't know. I can binge content like crazy, and I can have it running while doing something else. Like I'm in the middle of painting a car this weekend. So while that's going on, my headphones are in and I can have like a YouTube video going or a podcast going and I'll be, concentrating in the car. Yeah. I've always wanted to like, just like leave it, running during the night and see if I can like pull it through during sleep, which is how I might have to do it this year. But I don't know if that works that way.
Yeah. Jesus. Yeah. That'll be a good technique. Just go for it.
Yeah. My wife would get sick of it.
Yeah. I think it would probably end up that she would take it in and then start giving out to you being like, now I know everything about everyone. I don't need to know this stuff. So
she's pretty good. Like she'll be like my outlet of like not gossip, but I'll be like, hey, this is going on with this person and that person. And then she'll kind of take that info and then be like, oh, but so recently like the Kenda announcement, right? I was like, oh, like, Ryan Turk and Osbo are going there. And like, she's like, oh, that's cool. And then it was like, but that means there's spots open in Nitto. Like, do you think who do you think's going to go to Nitto? And I'm like, oh, like that kind of stuff. So she's a big FD fan now too, which is good. Okay. I talked about it in another podcast. She'll like text me during events and be like, what is this call? Like, what's going on? I'm like, okay, I'm at work. I can't. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Can't explain. Yeah. No,
I can't get into this right now.
I think I have a partner also that is very supportive and helps a lot with everything. So I think it's definitely needed to have that kind of outsource of like, you're talking about it and it's still, registering because like, I must say I would forget that the head is on my shoulders, so I'm lucky that I have someone to remind me of all the stuff I need to do.
Yeah, it's definitely necessary. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. Absolutely. So I have an interesting kind of sidebar for you. If you had to move out of Ireland, where do you see yourself moving to? America's an easy pick, so you don't have to go with that.
Yeah, like it's I'm not too sure, to be honest. Like the biggest issue that we have in Ireland is the weather. Like we had a little bit of sunshine today, but the last I think there was actually a statistic last Wednesday that there was no sunshine in Ireland for 9 days. Like that's a little bit depressing, That's
a little crazy, yeah.
So I probably would pick somewhere that has a little bit more sunshine. But the parts of America I've been to so far, I would not move to. But it's only been LA, so I would not move there.
That's fair. That's fair.
Like I went to Vegas and I went to LA, and I was like, this is because I'm where we live is like super countryside. There's no we're probably like 40 minutes from the city, but like our city is like probably it's like a small town for you guys probably, So
yeah,
it's and like I hate going there also. So
into Cork?
Yeah, like it's just not for me really. So yeah, like it probably would be America. Like if depends on how my career would go, you know what I mean? It probably would suit to if I had someone employed. If I ever get to the stage where I could have someone employed in Ireland to run our drift cars and stuff, and if I could afford to move to America to like some country side of America where there's nobody around me, I'd probably move there. So I'm not great with so like it's kind of strange at drift events and Jack Shanahan the drifter, I have no problem talking to fans or like signing autographs or taking photos of people. Like I actually really enjoy doing that side of things. But when it comes to like my everyday life, like people annoy me a lot, and I'm like, because it's like some people,
I get it.
You know what I mean? Like I would stand if there was 5,000 people queuing up for a picture or an autograph or a quick chat or even a handshake, it would not bother me in the slightest. I would be more than happy to do all that stuff. But like my everyday life of like going to the shops, I could never go to the shops if it's crazy busy, because my brain, like, there's lots of, like, the common person is quite silly, I think, and my brain couldn't hack, dealing with all these people every day. So, yeah, I'd like to move somewhere that has sunshine, lots of open land, mountainy, and just not a crazy amount of people. I get my people fix when I go drifting on the weekends.
Mm-hmm. I have a feeling you're gonna like Atlanta a lot. Like, of all the stops in FD, that's the one where I'm like, okay, I think this is gonna be the one you would like. I love Georgia. The state of Georgia is beautiful. The people are very friendly. I'm in Florida right now, and like even still, I'm like, man, Georgia's not that far. It's only a few hours away. Like we'll just move again. We'll just move up there. So
I was just gonna say, did you not just move recently? So,
I did, like 6 months ago. So
maybe
should probably chill for a bit.
Give it another 6 months.
I move like, it seems to be almost every 5 years. I get like a 5-year itch. It's like, like my mortgage is up for renewal, and then I'm like, okay, might as well change houses, right?
It's the same thing. It's like changing a car, I suppose, if you look at it like that.
It's been 5-6 years for the last 3 moves, and then even as a kid, I would live somewhere for 4 or 5 years, and then my family we'd move somewhere. So, I'm cool with it. I don't mind. I'm really good at packing.
That's my issue, is that I've never left here. So
fair.
It's I'm like a proper homeboy. So it's
it'll be fun to get you out in America. It'll be interesting. Those vlogs are going to be quite interesting. Like you having different food and things like that for the first time. That's what I want to see you document, is like restaurants and gas stations.
A little bit more like day in the life kind of stuff, because like, you may not think it, but I'm quite fussy when it comes to food. But it's like, I'm super fussy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the stuff I like, I eat a lot of it, as you can see. But like, the stuff I don't like, I will not eat at all. Like, I'm super bad at trying new food and stuff. Like, it's really bad, because.
What's some examples? Well, give me some specifics here. What are you good with, and what do you hate? I need to know.
I eat potatoes and chicken and like ham and bacon and stuff, but like, I wouldn't be eating like kind of like noodles and kind of weird stuff like that. Like I love pizza.
Try not to judge here. I'm not judging.
Pizza is my go-to. If I'm like anywhere in the world, and if I know that I need to eat something, I just get a pizza, because I know that like you can't go too, like, some people go too far wrong with a pizza, but like you can't go that bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
But like I struggle going some places. Now that you've mentioned it, like, I can't think off the top of my head like of what I wouldn't eat. But like,
you're not gonna like get into seafood or stuff like that.
Way.
It's like
I would not eat anything. Anything from the ocean should be just left in the ocean. Like, it's simple as that. So like, I'm super bad with like fish and all that kind of things. I would not ever. So it's funny.
That's fair. That's fair. It's good to know.
Any like, if you go to a restaurant and it's any way like fancy, I will more than likely not eat there at all. Like, I would not pick anything on the menu that I would eat. Like, if I'm getting a burger, I will have to get the bun, maybe the sauce, depending on where we are, then the burger, and then the bun. Like, nothing else. Like, no tomatoes, no onions, no lettuce. Like, it would just freak me out. So
I'm like hellbent now to take you to dinner somewhere just to experience this. That's how
But like, I'm very strange with textures of food. So like, I don't like fruit if I'm eating the fruit. But if you make me like a healthy smoothie with like apples and bananas and oranges and stuff, I will drink that all day long. and I'm like, this is lovely.
Okay.
But if I have to
But
bite,
to eat a banana,
I could never eat a banana. But I love banana flavor stuff, you know. So that's kind of how my fussiness is. My fussiness is kind of like just weird. It's not really.
No, like, it's fair.
It's funny.
I'm laughing so hard because my wife is very similar to this. Like to eat a banana, like just like she'll immediately like just start dry heaving.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. But I wouldn't eat it.
Yeah, but if I made a smoothie with all of it in it, not a problem. Like,
it's lovely. Yeah. It's like I quite enjoy it, you know. But yeah, it's
funny.
Like it's the texture of it.
I get it.
It's the same with tomatoes. Like I hate tomatoes.
I'm not a big tomato guy.
Like I could not eat a tomato, but like ketchup or like tomato-based pizza, like I absolutely love. You know.
Okay.
Like I hate mushrooms.
Tomato sauce?
I'd eat tomato. Like I'd eat like spaghetti bolognese, all that kind of stuff, because I like the tomato stuff in that. But if you put lumps of tomato in a spaghetti, I will not eat it. Like just smash it up and I'll eat it basically. But yeah, I wouldn't be like same with the tomatoes. If I bite into a tomato, like I actually reckon I would get sick. It's not good. So
fair. Sorry, I feel like I'm stressing you out with this. Like I can hear it in your voice. You're like, I can't even think about biting into a tomato. Like that's like the worst idea.
It's just not great. So, like when I went to Russia, I had a terrible time because all they eat is like really weird soups and like they're kind of like they eat like Asian kind of food, and I do like Chinese food and, you know, some like Asian street food. I'd eat some of it, but they eat really weird types of Asian food. And I was like, get me to the nearest KFC or something, like, because that's like I used to eat once a day in Russia. Like, no, I would have nothing else. If we went for breakfast, I would never eat anything. I would have to just like, if we were on the way to the track, I would stop at like a McDonald's or a KFC because I knew that I could get a burger, and that would just do me for the whole day because I knew I wouldn't eat anything else. So, yeah, that was the most stressful time.
I worked in a Russian restaurant for a little bit, so I used to have to cook Russian food. It's it's weird. It's definitely strange in comparison to European food. It's very strange. A lot of fish eggs, a lot of like salmon eggs and things like that.
It's weird.
A lot of pickles and fish.
They tried getting me to eat some bowl of soup one day that was like, it looked like hot water with like a lump of meat at the bottom with like leaves and like these like packet stuff that you put onto it. And I was like, I would actually prefer to die right now rather than put that in my mouth. So I was like, there's no way. There's no way. So yeah, strange.
Good to know.
Strange food.
No, it's fair. It's fair.
We can go for dinner at some point. I'm sure we'll be with each other quite a lot this season, so we'll surely find time. Yeah,
we'll be hanging out. We'll be hanging out quite a lot. I'm gonna try and spend a week in Ireland before that round. So my goal is to like go and see like all the iconic drifting areas of Ireland. Just to like make an Irish drifting tour.
Sounds good.
I think that could be cool.
We'll be here for the whole week getting ready anyway. So,
perfect.
You can come and I'll take you to my the pizza place that I love. Be a good night out.
I think you're gonna say like potato spot, but yeah, no, it works for me. It'll be good because my wife will be coming with me, so you guys can both eat off the kids menu. So it'll work. It'll work great.
Chicken nuggets, chips, mint.
Chicken nuggets and chips. Yeah. What's the? Is it? I feel like I'm gonna screw this up. Isn't there like an Irish dish which is like a bag of chips with like stuff on top of it? When you like, or is that a British dish that I'm thinking of?
Like, if we go to like like a chip shop, like a takeaway shop that does like pizzas, burgers, kebabs, we would get chips with like curry and cheese on top of it, or like
that's it. Yeah. That's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah. What's that called though?
Just curry chip cheese.
Oh, okay. overthinking this.
It's pretty straightforward. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
you can get
all
like
right,
curry
that's
chip
fair.
cheese, garlic chip cheese, a taco fry, which is like chips, mince, cheese, and taco sauce. That's a good time.
Gotcha. That's a
The
good
curry
time.
chip cheese, would be my go-to. Or yeah, some places have put like curry chip cheese and bacon. Or else
Okay.
there's a place
Getting
up the road
crazy.
that does a place up the road that does chips, coleslaw, and stuffing. So
Ooh.
very
Yeah, with
random.
that.
Yeah, it's very random.
Yeah.
But basically, put
do you know
anything on
it's,
chips and we'd eat it.
Do you know what poutine is, or poutine, for all my French Canadians out there?
No.
Okay, so it's chips, cheese curds, like not like chunk cheese, but like a specific cheese curd, and then
Okay.
gravy on top, like a brown gravy.
Yeah.
It is phenomenal.
Sounds like
I don't know.
good time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very very good time.
Yeah.
That's our version of it. Yeah, I'll have to try. I swear there was a nickname for that, but anyways, there's a funny dude I follow on TikTok that's very very Irish, and
Right.
he complains about a lot of food. I can't remember his name though, but anyways, I digress.
Yeah.
This is not where I thought this podcast was going today, but I'm super happy it did.
Yeah. We're gonna leave the podcast. It's fine for you because you actually have time to go eat. It's bedtime.
Yeah,
for
I'm
me.
starving.
I just had my
That's
dinner,
fair.
so
Do you-
I have to go to bed.
You oh yeah, my wife was actually texting me. She can hear me in the podcast, and she said F bananas and
Yeah.
tomatoes. So she's in full agreement with you.
Sweet.
You're good, Jack.
At least
Yeah.
we know that we can take you for dinner and we won't have any
All
arguments.
right. Yeah. If I remember correctly, you usually go to bed fairly early, but then get up early, whereas Connor's the opposite, right? Like he's up fairly late and then sleeps in.
Yeah, like so Connor.
Or is it the opposite?
No, Connor would like stay up all night playing the simulator and stuff, and then he might get up at like maybe 2 or 3 a.m. or 2 or 3 p.m. Sorry, that'd be like his daily routine. I don't say I get up early. I go to bed at like a reasonable time, maybe like 10:30, 11 most nights, and then I try to start work at probably 9 or 9:30, but.
Okay.
Usually that happens to be like 10 or 10:30 sometimes, depending on what I can get done from my bedroom, basically. So I always try to wake
That's
up
fair.
on time, but then you might have to go through stuff, or else you might just not want to go to bed. So you just stay there for an extra hour. So being your own boss is like a blessing and a curse, because I will happily sleep in the morning and like go to work at like 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, and then just work until like 9-10 o'clock at night, because like I can see the door of my workshop from here. You know what I mean? Like it's literally outside the door, so I don't have to worry about having to like beat traffic or anything like that. So it's probably not a good thing. I actually would prefer if I had a place further away, because when I get home I could really disconnect from the workshop, but it's not an option. So we just have to go with it. But my biggest issue is that like I don't tend to have any other hobbies other than working, drifting, and that's kind of it. So I can happily stay working until 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and then go back out the following morning at 9-10 o'clock and just do another 12-13 hour day. It's not the end of the world. So
Yeah.
yeah, but Connor likes sleeping a lot. Like I like sleeping. Like I will happily admit that I will take a midday nap every now and then just for the crack. But Connor, sometimes if you didn't wake Connor, like he could sleep for like 14 hours, like back like 14 hours block of sleep. Like sometimes you wake him being like, just to check if he's alive, you know. So
Yeah.
like yeah, it's funny. So but yeah.
That's I get that. I'm very I've done both. I've recently started going like back into an office. It's like 30 minutes away.
Yeah.
It's nice to have that separation, but I don't know. I very much enjoy working from home. I enjoy, for me, like the biggest thing is like being able to have, it sounds super American, even though I'm Canadian, like being able to run my smoker
Yeah.
Like to be able to have the barbecue going all day. Is
while
like,
you're working.
it's prime. Oh,
Yeah.
dude, it's so great to like. I'll get up at like 4:00 in the morning to get the barbecue going.
Really?
No problem. Not an issue. If I know that like I've got a big hunk of meat to cook.
Yeah.
2, 3 in the morning, get up, get the fire going, done. Now to
That's
like
funny.
get up at 6:30 in the morning to go to work is a struggle.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, to be honest,
totally different.
I think getting up really depends on what your priorities are, because
Yeah,
I can
agree.
I can get up at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 5 a.m. to go to like an airport, to go to a drift event, or go like
Not a problem.
go load the trailer to go to a drift day. Like no issue at all. Like I'm up and I'm not even sleepy at any point of the day. Like I can happily wake up on 3-4 hours sleep and survive the full day without being tired. But if you're at a job in the workshop where you're just like, this could go really wrong, so you're like, it's easier if I don't go. So, but yeah, I think it's where your priorities at, like, you know, because if you want to get up at 4 a.m. to go cook some meat, like it's like your hobby, you know, you're like, sweet, let's get up. And then you're like, the alarm's going off and you're snoozing 10 times before you head to work. So, no, I know what you mean.
Yeah, if you really enjoy it, I mean, same thing I said, I'm painting this car this weekend, but like to have to clean up my office, like it looks really clean in this shot right now, but like I can tell you there's a giant pile of shit right here, right in front of the camera where I'm like, I need to clean this stuff up. But meanwhile, the garage looks great. You know, I have a car that's meticulously sanded and washed and is ready to, you know, have primer laid down. But yeah, it's just a matter of what you enjoy doing. You'll put the time and effort into.
Yeah, no, that's the biggest thing. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Easily put the time in there.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard a rumor from a few different people now that you're quite the singer. That you've sung in like musicals in school. Is that still true?
Yeah. Singing is like, I would probably not sing for you ever, but if I have enough, if I have a few drinks, there's a fair chance that if there's like in Ireland, a sing song is like quite a big thing, and like at the end of a night in the pub, everyone would sing a song or whatever. I usually don't choose to sing a song, but all my friends are like, "You're up next," and I'm like, "No," and then they usually just make me sing anyway. So, that's. But when I was in school, I done 2 years in school where I'd done the musicals and stuff. So, yeah, it was. Yeah, if I wasn't drifting, I could have been on Broadway, you know. So,
dang,
calling. I like music and stuff. My mother was in a band. She was a lead singer and stuff of a band before, so it was kind of in the family also a little bit. So, but yeah, I quite enjoy like a road trip sing along. Let's say. So.
There is a deep history of karaoke and drifting in the U.S. Like those two things go hand in hand. So I want to make sure you're ready for this year that you are going to be asked at some point in time to sing in front of a group of strangers.
Yeah, no, it actually already happened last year. After the banquet, we went to the karaoke bar and I got dragged into the karaoke room and they put on Justin Bieber Baby and handed me the microphone and wouldn't leave me leave. Damn. So I think I got that experience well and truly out of my system. I don't want to relive that moment because, you know, first off, knowing all the words without looking at the screen was probably my biggest downfall. So, I was, because they pointed it out after, they were like, you know, if you didn't want to sing the song, you could have at least read the words as if you didn't know all the words to the song. But yeah, it was funny. So
turns out that you actually know every lyric,
every lyric of that song. So, but yeah, it's one of those things that just it happens every now and then.
Okay. I will happily get up on stage with you. We'll have to find something that's that is in both of our octaves, and it'll be a good time.
Yeah, no, we'll figure it out.
Yeah,
it's actually one thing that I really want to try to do is I watch Adam LZ's videos of him learning how to play the guitar, And I don't understand why I used to play bass when I was like 11 or 12, but like it was purely because I had a music class in school and you had to pick an instrument. So I picked bass because I had 4 strings, not 6. And I was like, it's probably going to be easier. And I learned that a little bit and then I like dropped it. And it's probably my biggest regret is not learning how to play like instruments, because I really do like music. Like I listen to music going to sleep and everything. It's like I actually listen to piano music going to sleep. Like it proper chills me out. Like,
really?
Yeah, I would love to go to see like a full orchestra kind of thing at some point in my life. But me and my girlfriend have agreed that if we did go to watch this, I would probably fall asleep after 40 seconds. So I'm not too sure how I'll ever have to make it around that, but it is kind of something that like it's my biggest regret, I think, is not actually learning how to do anything. So I really want to try learning to play guitar at some point. That's like I think I might ask Santa for a guitar next Christmas, and then I can try learn the guitar. So that's
cool.
It's on my to-do list, but my to-do list is fairly big. So
pretty big.
Yeah,
I can see that.
So,
what else are you listening to? Like, it's classical to go to sleep, but like, is there something in particular that you're really excited about right now or listening to right now?
To go to sleep, I listen to a guy called Ludovico. He's a piano person, but he has like a good playlist on Spotify. It's if you want to fall asleep, put on Ludovico and you will conk out. So, other than that, like I kind of like Irish kind of band music. There's a band in Ireland that's fairly popular at the moment called Amble. And their music is so good. Like I went to see them live and everything. They're very, very good. And there's another band called Kingfisher. And yeah, I like that kind of stuff. Like I don't really like I like all kind of music, but I like music that you can like learn the words of and sing along to when you're working in the garage. So
fair enough.
Yeah. But if you want to like learn, like listen to some sort of Irish music, Amble is a very good band, so you can listen to that. So
I think the only Irish music I've listened to are American and Canadian takes on Irish music, like Dropkick Murphys or Mudmen or Flogging Molly, like stuff like that.
That's very like hardcore. So like that's kind of like a mashup of like like rock and like trad music. So like Irish trad music is actually like unbelievable. Like I would listen to trad music like for 2 hours straight, no problem. Because most trad music there's no real singing to Irish trad music. It's literally just instruments. And it's very nice to listen to. Like it's like the sound of home to me, you know. So I like listening to it a lot. But I think those people, they bring in like the element of trad to like the rock kind of side of things, and then they make their music. But yeah, I'll have to send you a list of of music that's that you can have a listen to. And I mean, I'm all ears, man.
I listen to like a lot of rock and metal as like kind of my base, but I definitely flip around different genres pretty regularly. Because I mean, metal's great, but there are definitely times where it's just like, okay, I don't need this level of aggression right now.
I love rock music too, and I actually only had this conversation the other day that like, you know, the lead vocalists of some rock bands are probably the best vocalists in the world, and you're like, you know, it's insane, to be honest. It's like such good, like the talent to make a proper rock like soundtrack is very big. You know what I mean? Like there's lots of stuff going on, so it's cool. I like listening to all kind of music, really. Like when I'm in the garage, like it could be anything. Like my favorite song ever is Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, of course.
And like it's nice. I think it's the best song ever. It's unbelievable, you know. So it's it's funny.
There's just a lot going on in that song. There's just
exactly.
There's something for everybody in that song.
Yeah, it's the shortest orchestrated song. Like it falls into like orchestra because it's has a certain number of instruments or something, so it falls into that category as well. So
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's cool. So it's a good tune. Yeah. Freddie Mercury
Learn
was
something new every day.
very cool though. So I was a big fan of his work. Very cool.
It's funny the juxtaposition that I guess you have as a person, because like in the drifting world, you are known as a very aggressive, very hardcore, like that is your driving style, that is your personality in it. But like you and I really didn't know each other very well until this conversation.
No,
like we've chatted a few times and all that stuff, right?
Briefly kind of stuff, yeah.
And yeah, just the, in passing or whatever at events and things. But like Jack Shanahan, the human being outside of drifting, I want to sit in the garage, I want to listen to classical music and eat chicken fingers and just work on cars all day.
Yeah. No, like I'm fairly straightforward kind of person, to be honest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like obviously the whole drifting side of things, it's just, like if we, like I love a debate, you know what I mean? Like if you mentioned anything, even on this podcast that would have had any bit of a debate, like I would debate with you for 25 minutes, not a problem. You know what I mean? It's just kind of one of those things that like I'm just kind of easy going, you know what I mean? So then that's kind of why like at drifting, I'm kind of openly spoken, because some people like making stuff very awkward when it doesn't need to be awkward. And that's where I'm like, this can be so much more straightforward. You know what I mean? Like if you're bad, go home. If you're good, you can win. It's like, that's kind of how my brain looks at it. Like, so it's, but yeah, on a day-to-day basis, I just want to eat food, sleep, listen to music, and work on cars. So it's fairly straightforward. Yeah, fairly straightforward.
Yeah, no one can fault you for that, man. I mean, that sounds like a pretty great life, not gonna lie.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good. So, but yeah, other than that, my hobbies are fairly slim. I play a bit of pool.
Yeah.
That's about the height of it.
Okay.
Me and my friends go to the local pub and play pool every now and then. So, yeah.
But yeah, that dedication to what you enjoy is what's gotten you to where you're at and what you're going to be doing and everything else, right? Like it's a tough thing for a lot of people to wrap their heads around when anybody's successful at something and they're like, oh, well, like, how'd you do it? How'd you do this and all that? And like, I just didn't do anything else. Like, that's it. Like I had somebody who's very, very successful, he was talking about how his friends like put in 40 hours into a video game. And he's like, cool, where did that get you?
Yeah.
Like where, you can't bitch and complain that you're not where you want to be when you put 40 hours into a video game or you watched an entire season of a TV show or whatever. Like that's why you're not where you want to be. And it's tough for people to hear that like, if you want to be successful, if you want to do that, it's got to be your everything. Now you can still have a life. You can still do things you enjoy.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But you only have one or two of those things that you actually enjoy. Everything else is about
you need to have
be successful at.
Your focus on one thing. You know what I mean? That's kind of like you see some people, they dip their toe into everything, but they never really make it at anything. And you're kind of you'd be wondering, like, do they live their life being like, if I committed to this one thing that I was just getting good at, like, would they have made it, So, yeah, it's just one of those things. It's like, I have to, like I was saying, I often question, is it worth doing all this stuff? And then you're like, I don't know what else I would like to do anyway. So, may as well just keep going.
Yeah.
So, it's, it is just about, having your focus set on that one thing, and that's kind of it.
Yeah. Yeah. It sucks because it's like, we talked about earlier, you miss out on a lot of other things, but if this is what you truly want to do, if it's what is going to make you happy, and then why, those things that you're missing out on, it's like, well, that's part of doing the thing that makes you happy.
Exactly. Yeah. Like you need to commit to those things that you're missing that, like, at some point what you're doing is probably going to run out and you can then do those things then, that's how I look at it. Yeah. I'm like, I'm not going to stay as a top level professional drifter for the next 40 years. You know what I mean? So I'll have plenty of time to do all the things that I thought I missed out on.
Learn
You know what I
guitar.
mean? Exactly. Yeah.
You can learn guitar in a nursing home. Like that's fine.
Absolutely. Like once I can use my hands, I'll be fine. So
Yeah.
once I don't lose my hands, I'll be learning how to play guitar with my nose or something.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
but
Sick,
yeah.
man. Well, we're almost at 2 hours already. I don't want to hold you up too much later. I know you need your beauty sleep.
Yeah.
I want to say I'm very excited to see you come across the pond. I know there's a few things you're still working on to make sure that the season's gonna go through, but at the end of the day, I mean, as we said, you'll find a way. You'll figure it out. You'll put something else aside. I'm sure there's plenty of parts and cars you can sell to finance a year, but
Yeah. I've got a bit of an AE86 obsession, and I have said to myself that if I do need to get some money, I can sell one, but I don't really want to. But
yeah.
if there's anyone listening that wants to donate, donations accepted right here. So I will take anything. So, but no, like it'll work out. I'm kind of like at the point where if I had a title sponsor or like even like one or two other little sponsors that would just kind of get it over the line, that's kind of where I'm at. But it's like, you know, I'm in it for the long haul now. There's no going back.
Yeah.
So it's it just has to happen. So that's where we're at.
It'll happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No other choice.
It'll happen.
So,
well, speaking from the fan base, like I said, I'm very, very excited to have you come over. I think you're going to bring just a different element, a different personality, a different driving style. Pairing up with Rome is a great call. I mean, it worked out really, really well for your brother.
Yeah.
Where he's going, we'll leave that to let him talk about. And I know you and I talked briefly about the reveal of the car. We're not going to reveal that on this episode, but hopefully that comes up very soon.
Yeah, no, the car, I probably won't announce the car until a YouTube video, but I am flying to the States on the first week or second week of March for a YSUB event, and I hope to have my FD car finished for then, and that will be the hard launch of the car. It won't be the hard launch of delivery because the car will just be finished. But that will be the showing of what I'm bringing to the table. But it'll be interesting. Like I said, it's not something that I've never even sat in one of these cars before. So it's going to be very confusing, very new. So it's exciting to see how it goes.
Yeah.
But
no, it'll be good.
Be fun.
Cool. Any last minute shout outs? Anybody you want to talk about or anything else that we didn't cover?
No, I'd say we had a fairly good conversation. We talked about music, food, drifting. It's fairly sweet. Yeah.
What else I don't know what else there is to talk about, to be honest.
Yeah. No, but just hopefully this gets out to a newer kind of fan base of people that I'll be bumping into throughout the season. And I'm looking forward to, showing my take on things in Formula Drift and just kind of growing with the sport, hopefully, and putting on a good show. That's kind of the main plan, is to get people off their seats and be like, that was cool. So that's the plan.
Agreed. I think if there's anybody that's going to do it, it's going to be you. So like I said, I'm very, very pumped. And for anybody listening and watching at home, check out the description below. There'll be links to all Jack's socials. Check out the Shanahan show on YouTube. It's good fun, good information. We'll get to see him potentially trying new foods this year. So make sure to subscribe to that. And dude, like I said, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it. And I'm glad we finally got to make it work. It's been a back and forth for a few weeks now.
All good. Thank you very much for having me. It was good fun. So
yeah. No worries.
Oh, no! Boy! Whoa! Boy and go!